Welcome back. This video is part of an ongoing series about how to listen, rather than what to buy. We're taking familiar recordings and using them as tools, not objects of reverence, to understand what a system is actually doing. Today's track is So What? By Miles Davis. If you know it well, that's ideal. If you think you know it well, even better. As before, I'd encourage you to pause the video and listen to the track as we go. Nothing I say here works unless you do. In my videos, I already give suggestions for how you can make small changes. For example, speaker position, and there is a lot more to come. The great thing is that using artificial intelligence, you can get improvements quicker and better, without constantly spending money on equipment that probably won't help. So, if you are interested, please subscribe, like, and ring the bell to keep up to date. If you do not subscribe, I might have to send the boys round. So what is often treated as a kind of jazz, shorthand, modal, cool, restrained, canonical, all of which is true and largely irrelevant for our purposes. What makes this track so useful is that it's not about excitement. It's about space, tone, and proportion. It doesn't push your system. It waits for your system to reveal itself. The opening bass figure tells you almost everything you need to know. Listen carefully. You're not listening for depth, or impact, or drama. You're listening for pitch. Each note should be clearly defined, with a natural bloom and an unhurried decay. Not thick, not thin, not eager. If the bass sounds impressive, something is already wrong. If it sounds boomy, you're hearing room interaction or subwoofer overhang. If it sounds indistinct, timing or phase alignment is off. If it sounds light but intelligible, you're on the right track. This is one of those moments where artificial intelligence can be genuinely helpful, quietly, and without taking control. Using AI-assisted room analysis or measurement tools, you can identify bass modes and phase issues that are extremely hard to hear in isolation, but obvious once they're pointed out. The aim isn't to flatten the room into submission. It's to stop the bass interfering with everything else. When that happens, the mid-range suddenly relaxes, and people often mistake that for an upgrade. When the horns enter, listen to the space around them. Miles' trumpet should sound slightly burnished, almost conversational. Not brilliant, not forward. If it feels piercing or vivid, your system is exaggerating presence. If it feels distant or dull, harmonic information is being lost. This is a good moment to resist the temptation to fix things. One of the most useful AI-assisted changes I've made recently wasn't a change at all. It was recognizing a pattern. By keeping simple listening notes and letting an AI summarize them over time, it became clear that I consistently preferred tonal restraint over excitement, even when I thought I wanted the opposite. That's not an algorithm choosing the sound. That's an algorithm reminding me what I already knew, but kept forgetting. Listen now to the way Bill Evans' piano sits in the mix. It's not spotlighted. It's not separated for effect. It's integrated. The piano occupies a real space, behind and slightly to one side of the horns. If it jumps forward or feels detached, something is disrupting spatial coherence. This is where filter choice and upsampling behavior matter, but again, quietly, rather than chasing a single best setting. AI can be used very simply here, to remember which processing choices tend to work best for which kinds of music. Dense rhythm and brushwork behave differently from sparse, modal arrangements. Letting a system suggest a starting point based on your own preferences reduces fatigue and unnecessary tweaking. AI, in this context, isn't creative, it's administrative. And frankly, that's its best role. Now listen to the drums. Jimmy Cobb's ride cymbal should shimmer gently, with a continuous metallic texture. Not splashy, not granular. If the cymbal sounds like noise rather than metal, high-frequency reconstruction is breaking down. If it sounds overly smooth, you're losing micro-information. This is one of those cases where restraint matters more than resolution. A system that constantly draws attention to detail is rarely a system that understands music. Step back now and listen to the image as a whole. This is not a wide recording, and it's not meant to be. The musicians occupy a stable, believable space. Nothing wanders, nothing performs for the listener. If your system produces a huge panoramic image here, ask yourself a quiet question. Where did that come from? Spatial exaggeration is not realism. It's interpretation. AI-assisted speaker and listening position optimization can help enormously here, precisely because it's unemotional. It doesn't care what you're used to. It simply models reflections, symmetry, and timing, and suggests small changes that humans often dismiss as insignificant. They rarely are. Moving a chair or a speaker by a few centimeters has improved my listening more reliably than almost anything else, once I let a model challenge my assumptions. So what does "so what" actually tell you? If the bass is intelligible and calm, your low-frequency system is behaving. If the trumpet sounds human rather than impressive, your tonal balance is honest. If the piano feels embedded rather than showcased, your spatial relationships are intact. And if the whole piece sounds unhurried, proportionate, and slightly understated, you're doing very well. This track doesn't reward systems that shout. It rewards systems that listen. Before we finish, it's worth saying what I'm not doing with artificial intelligence. I'm not letting it enhance the music. I'm not using it to remix, upmix, or dynamically reshape the signal. If the music starts responding to the algorithm instead of the musicians, we've gone too far. The most effective use of AI in my system isn't in the signal path at all. It's in measurement, memory, pattern recognition, and, perhaps most importantly, helping me hear myself more clearly as a listener. So what is not dramatic? It doesn't insist. It doesn't persuade. It simply sits there, balanced and composed, waiting for the system and the listener to meet it on its own terms. That's why it belongs in this series. And that's why we'll keep returning to music like this. Thank you for listening.